Dear students, I am Dr. S. Krishnakant from SRR and CVR Government Junior College, and welcome to the virtual classes conducted by the Board of Intermediate Education. As a part of this video lessons, today I am going to deal with the first year intermediate zoology, and the unit is the last one, 8th unit, that is the ecology and its importance. And the definition of the ecology, we shall start with the definition of the ecology. Ecology refers to the study of interactions among the individuals or the organisms. And between the organisms and surrounding environment. So it is actually the study of interactions among the organisms and between the organisms and the surrounding environment, which is a physical environment. And ecology is derived, the term ecology derived from two Greek words. One is the oikos, means the house, and logos means the study. That means the ecology refers to the study of organisms at home. And E. Wadham is regarded as the father of modern ecology. Ernest Haeckel defined the ecology as the study of relationship between organisms and environment. So we can define this ecology as the organisms and their interactions with the environment. And this is the study of the ecology. So ecology actually studies the interaction between the organisms and their environment. And of course, the organisms themselves also interact among themselves and their interaction with the environment. So this is the definition of the ecology. And let us move to the next part of the topic, that is the different branches of the ecology. We can divide the ecology into two branches. One is art ecology and second one is synecology. Autoecology refers to the ecology of population or the species. In this part of the ecology, we study the interaction of the species in a particular area with respect to its environment. And you know what is a species? Species refers to group of individuals living in an area and interbreed among themselves, and these species are also known as the population. So in autoecology we study the species or the population that live in a particular area. So suppose these are the individuals belong to the same species, so we can call them as a population. And we study their interaction with the surrounding environment. And here we study about the population dynamics. Population dynamics refers to the growth of the population, size of the population, so these are called the population dynamics. So the autoecology refers to the ecology of the species or the population, and species are nothing but the group of individuals that live in a particular area and they interbreed among themselves freely, and we call them as a population or the Mendelian population also. So we study the relationship between the species or the population with respect to their environment, and we study also the population dynamics. Population dynamics refers to the growth and the size of the population and their distribution also. So that refers to the autoecology. And syncology is the next branch of the ecology. Here we study the structure, distribution and development of community. Hence, it is also known as community ecology. A community means it consists of more than one population. That means many populations living in a particular area are known as the community. So in this population there may be some kind of plants and animals that belongs to different species. A community means consisting of different species, and we study the community that belongs to a particular area or in a particular area where we can see a different individuals or the organisms of different species, and we refer to their interaction with the environment. So that is the subject of the syncology or the community ecology. As we have studied the population dynamics in ecology, in syncology also we study about the community dynamics. Community dynamics refers to the growth, development and the distribution of the members of a community in a particular area. Now comes the question of why should we study the ecology? What is the importance of the ecology? Let us discuss this topic. For example, the early human or the early man has to fight with the environment, and as he uses or used the fire and invention of wheel slowly led to the development of civilization. Civilization means he was able to know how to produce the different products like agriculture and animal husbandry. And with the civilization, the exploitation of the resources began. So now the resources on the earth were exploited. And with the development of science and technology, further aggravated the exploitation of the resources. And we know that in earth we have humans, along with them there are some plants and animals. And we have some ethical obligations towards these plants and the animals. But as the science and technology developed, the resources were exploited and it led to some consequences like pollution, increase in the greenhouse gases, and because of this we are experiencing the global warming, the climate change and the floods, especially the urban floods. In the recent past in Kerala and Mumbai, and also in case of Hyderabad, we are experiencing these floods. So all these refers to the exploitation of the resources because of the science and technological development. And remember, the Mahatma Gandhi has said, earth provides enough for every man's need, but not greed. But not every man's greed. That means we have to utilize the resources without exploiting them, and we shall use them for our needs only, not for our unnecessary greed. From here comes the concept of the sustainable development. So sustainable development refers to the utilization of the resources without compromising the needs of the future generations. Now, in order to conserve the resources, so conservation of the resources and the biodiversity needs the knowledge of the ecology. So, in order to conserve these resources, we must know the interaction between the organisms and their environment, so that we can use our resources in a sustainable manner, so that the future generations can also have the right to live on this earth along with the animals and the plants. So, this is the need for the study of the ecology. Topic is the organisms and the environment. We know the environment on earth is not an uniform one. We know various regions have different climatic conditions, and how these climatic conditions have evolved, let us see. So, because of the rotation of the earth and the variations in the intensity and the duration of light received leads to the seasons, and these seasonal variations leads to the different climatic regions, and these climatic regions are known as the biomes. So, biomes are the regions on earth which are vast regions, and they have a uniform climatic conditions with similar plants and animals. If we see the biomes, there are deserts, there are tropical rainforests, there are tundra regions. So, these are the different biomes on earth. If you observe these deserts where the temperature is very high, and if you see the tropical rainforest, the precipitation or the rainfall is also very high, and in tundra region we can see that always the temperature is below 0 degrees. That means it is always in a frozen conditions. And if you observe all these biomes, different regions have different climatic conditions, but the animals and the plants are able to live in these conditions also. So, why and how the animals and the plants are able to live in varied climatic conditions in spite of a very unfavorable conditions? If you observe the deserts, there is a high temperature, and if you see the tundra, there is a low temperatures. Sometimes it is almost below 0 degrees centigrade. And tropical rainforests, all these refers to different biomes, and the most unfavorable condition, in most unfavorable conditions also the plants and animals are able to live, and how they are able to live, and that is why we discussing this under the heading called organisms and the environment. Also, the animals and plants are living there, and they are living because of the important modification known as adaptations. Adaptations refers to the changes in their behavioral adaptations or the physiological adaptations. And because of these adaptations, the animals and the plants are able to live in such varied climatic conditions. And these adaptations are very, very important because the organisms are able to modify themselves according to the environment in which they are living. And these adaptations leads to speciation. Speciation refers to the origin of new species. And remember what Darwin has said, the survival of the fittest. And with these adaptations, they are able to live in this particular cold regions or desert regions by making certain changes in their behavior or in the physiology, so that they achieve a condition known as homeostasis. Homeostasis refers to the constant internal atmosphere. So this constant internal atmosphere is achieved by the adaptations according to the environment in which they are living, and this leads to the formation of new species. And this is what the Charles Darwin has said, the survival of the fittest. And this speciation is subjected to a very important selection treasure known as natural selection. Natural selection means the nature selects those individuals which are having high adaptability to the environment, and this is how the relation between the organisms and the environment can be established. So the next topic is the ecological hierarchy. Hierarchy means a graded series. In our topic unit 2, we discussed about the structural organization, in which we have seen the hierarchy of an animal right from the beginning of the cell, and cells are grouped together according to their origin, and they are called as tissue. Tissues combine to form organs, and organs are combined to form the organ systems, and such organ systems combine to form an individual. And individuals of same species are known as the population, and a group of populations are known as the community. And these communities, if combined together, they form ecosystem. And ecosystems are combined to form a vast region known as the landscape. And the next level is known as the biome, and these biomes are combined to form biosphere, or it is also known as the ecosphere. And in ecology, we try to study the hierarchy from the population to the biosphere. So we study from the populations to the up to the level of the biosphere. Let us discuss each one of these hierarchical series. Population refers to group of individuals belong to the same species. For example, if you see the species of Katla, Katla is the fish. So they belong to the same species that live in a particular area. We can refer this population of a Katla fish. Katla fish means all the fish that belongs to the particular species known as Katla. And second one is the community. Community refers to a group of individuals that belongs to different species, which we have already discussed. They belong to group of individuals of different species. So they have, in a particular area, they may have certain plants and animals. And plants refers to the autotrophs, and animals are the heterotrophs. Heterotrophs means those obtain their nourishment from other sources, not their own. But plants are able to photosynthesize, they can prepare their own food, hence they refers to the autotrophs. And most of the communities are known by a dominant community. Dominant species. So a community is known by a dominant species. We have already said that it consists of different species. A community is named after a particular species which is a dominant one in that community. For example, if you see, Deodar trees are very high in number in Himalayan regions. At least almost at the altitude above the 5,000 feet. Above 5,000 feet, we can find these Deodar trees in large number in a particular area. Hence, they are called Deodar pine community. So, a community is named after a particular species which is dominant, that means high in number. So, example, we refer to the Deodar trees which are high in number at an altitude of 5,000 feet in the Himalayas. Ecosystem is the next in the hierarchical level. It refers to the functional unit of the biosphere. So, this is a very important term we should remember. It refers to the functional unit of biosphere. So, here in this ecosystem we have plants and animals, and we can observe its interactions of this community with respect to its environment. So, it is a functional unit of the biosphere where we can observe the interactions among the individuals of this community and with respect to its environment, and it will have both the structural and functional aspects. Let us see what are the structural aspects of an ecosystem. Structural aspects refers to the abiotic factors and biotic factors. Abiotic factors can also be divided into two, that is the physical factors and the chemical factors. So physical factors refers to various types of factors like temperature, the light, the water and pressure, etc. And chemical factors refers to the various minerals like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, etc. And in biotic factors we have different plants and animals, and plants are autotrophs, that means they are able to photosynthesize and they can prepare food, and there are consumers. Consumers refers to those animals which depend on the autotrophs, and there are some decomposers. So let us recap once again. The ecosystem refers to the functional unit of the biosphere in which we can see the plants and animals, that means they belongs to different species, that means they are a community, and you can observe the interactions among these plants and animals with respect to their environment. And it consists of both the structural and functional points. The structural components consist of the abiotic factor and the biotic factor. And abiotic factors refers to the abiotic factors in the environment can be divided into physical and the chemical one. Physical factors refers to the temperature, light, pressure, water, etc. Whereas the chemical factors are like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur, etc. And the biotic factors refers to the plants and the animals. The plants are always, in general, they are autotrophs, that means they are able to photosynthesize and they can prepare the food. And the other animals or other biotic components are dependent on these autotrophs, and hence they are known as the consumers. And there are certain decomposers which still depend on the dead plants and the animals. So this refers to the structural aspect of the ecosystem. In functional, we have two aspects, two components. One is known as the flow of energy, and second one is biogeochemical cycles. So what is the flow of energy? We just see what is the flow of energy. For example, if you see plants and the herbivores and primary carnivores and secondary carnivores. So plants are able to trap the energy in the sunlight and they prepare the food, and herbivores are the plant eating animals. They depend on the plants, and herbivores are eaten by the primary carnivores and primary carnivores are eaten by the secondary carnivores. Now see how the energy is flow in this flow chart. The sun, the energy of the sun trapped by the plants, and the energy that is trapped by the plants are taken up by the herbivores, and again the energy that is trapped in the herbivores is taken up by the primary carnivores, and then the energy goes to the secondary carnivores. So this is how there is a flow of energy in the ecosystem that adds the functional aspect of the ecosystem. Now what are biogeochemical cycles? Now let us see. The plants are able to draw some chemicals from the soil like carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, etc. And they utilize these minerals for the development of various structural aspects, and the plants are again eaten up by the animals, that is the herbivores, the primary carnivores and the secondary carnivores. So whatever the minerals that are trapped by the plants are moving to the herbivores and then to the carnivores and then to the secondary carnivores. After the death of these animals, plants and animals, the decomposers will still derive some energy from the dead cells of these plants and animals, and the minerals that are trapped in the plants and animals still come back to the land or the atmosphere. So that means the chemicals that are trapped in the animals and the plant bodies are coming back to the earth, and this is known as the biogeochemical cycles. That means whatever the chemicals or the minerals that are trapped by the biological organisms like plants and animals are again coming back to the earth, that is the soil or the environment, after their death. So this refers to a cyclical revolution or cyclical way or cyclical rotation of these minerals from the plants and animals to the earth and again to the plants and animals. This is called the biogeochemical cycles. So this cyclical rotation of these minerals refers to the biogeochemical. So next hierarchical stage is the landscape, and landscape is a unit of land with plants and animals, and it is surrounded by with the natural boundaries. So this is a very important one. So it is having many ecosystems. So next one is the biome. Biome is a vast region of the biosphere with similar plants, animals and climatic conditions. For example, you can see the desert regions, the tundra regions, the tropical rainforests. All these refers to the terrestrial biomes. That means biomes on the land. And there are still some aquatic biomes. They may be of oceanic or marine, or there may be freshwater biomes. So biome is a vast region with similar plants and animals. So it has a uniform plants and animals, and it has the uniform climatic conditions. And we can classify them into the terrestrial biomes like the deserts, the tundra regions and the tropical forests, and aquatic biomes refers to the marine and freshwater. So next and the last of this hierarchy is the biosphere, or also known as the ecosphere. Ecosphere or biosphere means the part of earth that supports the life. So whatever the part of the earth that supports the life is known as the biosphere, or also known as ecosphere. For example, it refers to the plant, it refers to the earth, and it may up to some kilometers above the land or the earth, and it may also refers to the some oceanic depths, and here also we can have some kind of life. Even the abyssal regions, that is the depth of the ocean, is known as the abyssal region. There also we can find some kind of life, and some kind of life is also you can find above the land up to certain kilometers in the atmosphere. So the part of the earth where you can find the life is known as ecosphere or the biosphere. So next aspect of this today's class is the environment. Environment means sum total of abiotic and biotic factors. And these abiotic and biotic factors will influence the organisms. And the components of these abiotic or the biotic factors which influence the organisms is known as the environmental factors. So environmental factors means those abiotic or the biotic factors that influence the organisms are known as environmental factors. And there are three types of environmental factors. One is the climatic factors. Example, the temperature, the pressure, the water, the light, etc. And we will study the impact of these climatic factors like the temperature and light on the organisms in the coming classes. And second one is the topographic factors. Topography means the elevations on earth. So there may be some kind of mountains or hills. So these refers to the topographic factors, and topographic factors also influence the organisms, and the climate of the particular area is influenced by the topography of that particular area. And third one is edaphic factors. Edaphic refers to the soil. Edaphic means soil. So the factors that influence the soil is the grain size of the soil and its chemical nature, etc. So these edaphic factors, that means related to soil factors, also influence the organisms, and these are known as the environmental factors. And next one is the habitat. Habitat refers to the place in which organism lives. It may be regarded as the address of the animals or the plants. For example, there may be terrestrial, that means those animals or plants that live on the land, or there may be aquatic, that means they live either in the fresh water or in the marine. So this refers to habitat, refers to the place in which the organisms live, and this can be compared to the address of a person. And there may be terrestrial habitats, there may be aquatic habitats. In terrestrial habitats, we have already referred to the tundras, deserts and tropical rainforests, and we have seen the aquatic biomes like freshwater biomes or marine biomes, etc. And is the medium. Medium means the material that surrounds the organism. For example, if you take a fish, the material around this fish is water. So water is the medium here. In case of terrestrial animals like an elephant, the air is the medium that surrounds. So in case of aquatic organisms, the water is the medium, and in case of terrestrial animals like elephant, tiger, etc., the air is the medium. So medium refers to the material that surrounds the organisms. And last one is the niche. Niche refers to the functional role of organism. For example, if you see the plants in an area, plants, as I have already said, these are the autotrophs. So that means they are able to photosynthesize, and they are able to prepare their own food. They can trap the sunlight energy and they can live on their own. So the niche means their functional role of an organism in an ecosystem, or we can refer this as the biological role also. So this is known as the niche. So niche is its profession. It may be compared to the profession. As habitat is compared to the address of an individual, the niche is its functional role, and it can be compared to the profession of an organism. For example, in case of these plants, these are the autotrophs. So this is the first chapter of the unit 8, and we will continue our classes in the next units also.